everyone, and welcome to Bio 281. I know you're excited to learn more about
Fibrodysplasia Ossificans Progressiva.
Ossification, or the process of bone formation, is an important process in the development of the human body. The majority of bone formation occurs by endochondral ossification, which involves the replacement of cartilage in the body with bone.
Endochondral ossification begins within chondrocytes or cartilage cells, which increase greatly in size, enlarging the cartilage. These chondrocytes then die and disintegrate, leaving behind cavities. Next, blood vessels grow around the edges of the cartilage, and the cells of the outer layer convert to osteoblasts or bone cells. These osteoblasts function to produce new bony matrix. The blood vessels then penetrate the cartilage, bringing the osteoblasts to the center region. These osteoblasts begin producing spongy bone at the primary ossification center. This bone formation spreads out from the center of the bone.
Further growth out and upwards near the epiphysis of bone results in a medullary cavity being formed. The bone increases in length and diameter progressively. Capillaries and osteoblasts migrate to epiphysis, creating secondary ossification centers, promoting more spongy bone growth. The epiphysis becomes filled with spongy bone, leaving only the articular cartilage and thick epiphyseal cartilage.
Bone formation, however, is not limited to the processes of endochondral and intramembranous ossification. Normal ossification occurs primarily between birth and young adulthood, tapering off as we age. Although bone is constantly remodeled in the process of recycling and renewing the bony matrix, bone growth reaches a peak in young adulthood, and no new bone growth occurs. In certain pathologies, however, this normal bone growth is not the case. In response to abnormal stress, bone can form anywhere in the dermis, tendons, joints, kidneys, or skeletal muscles. Stress and injury can lead to the spontaneous formation of bone in muscles and tissues, leading to detrimental effects in the human body. One rare example of abnormal bone growth is the genetic disorder known as Fibrodysplasia Ossificans Progressiva, or FOP. FOP is characterized by the ossification of muscle and connective tissue after minor injury. An autosomal dominant genetic condition, FOP affects the ACVR1 gene in skeletal muscles and tissue, which is responsible for producing bone morphogenic protein. The FOP gene mutation causes the gene to continuously be turned on, resulting in the unregulated overgrowth of bone. The bone growth occurs in any area which receives stress. Often, even the smallest stretch or injury can cause growth.
Mutation. Whenever muscle is injured, a genetic defect in FOP sufferers causes their immune systems to attack the muscle tissue instead of repairing it. A very powerful bone-forming hormone is carried to the affected area. Under its assault, muscles begin to calcify.
It's as if the muscles and the soft tissues of our body think they're bones, and when they're injured, they make a new bone.
Imagine living with an incurable disease like this. Sufferers of FOP live in constant fear. This genetic mutation stimulates an immune response, and there is currently no known cure. Those affected must constantly be aware of their every move to avoid any injury. Even an overexertion of a muscle, like those easily caused during exercise, can stimulate the immune response leading to bone formation. Treatment is also extremely risky. A surgical incision to repair any damaged tissue or remove bone could trigger further ossification. Even muscular injections, such as those for vaccines or local anesthetic, can cause a flare-up. Less than 700 people worldwide suffer from FOP, and approximately 300 of those are in the United States. This disease encompasses all aspects of their lives.
The first sign typically noticed in FOP patients is malformation of the big toes in babies. These malformations do not cause major problems for sufferers. They are a clear indication of the presence of FOP before the overgrowth of bone begins. FOP is a congenital disease, meaning that it is present before birth. The growth of bone and prominent symptoms usually begin in the first 2 decades of a patient's life. According to the National Institute of Health, patients can lose the ability to fully open their mouth over time, causing difficulty in eating and speaking. As a result, some patients become malnourished.
Extra bone formation around the rib cage can also restrict the expansion of the lungs, causing difficulty breathing. The overgrowth of bone limits the range of motion for patients, typically in the upper spine, neck, shoulders, and arms. This inhibits their ability to perform everyday tasks. Research on FOP is ongoing in the hopes of finding some kind of early detection and cure for this disease. The International FOP Association opened the FOP Research Laboratory in 1992 at the University of Pennsylvania School of Medicine. The association functions to educate the public about signs of FOP, the difficult lives of those who suffer from it, and encourages the public to fund research on this rare but significant disease.
A metamorphosis unique in human biology. The only case known to medical science of one organ turning into another.
In the body, the heart doesn't become the lungs, the liver doesn't become the kidneys, but in FOP, the muscles, tendons, and ligaments become a second skeleton.
Okay, we'll go ahead and end here.